Hello again everyone, it's Mel from Stocksbridge Guitar Tech. Little beginner's lesson for you today, going back to basics. We're going to look at strumming patterns and how we count them, especially 8th note strumming patterns, but we will have a look at 16th note patterns as well. So I'm going to tell you how I teach my students how to strum, especially the earlier 8th note patterns. So let's dive in and I'll show you what I do to help students understand how to strum these patterns. First of all, the most important part of strumming is the right hand. The most common count is an 8th count, and we count that by counting 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and the 1, 2, 3 and 4 are all downstrokes, which means we're going to go from the top down across the strings, and all of the ands are the opposite. They're an upstroke, which means we're going to come from the thinnest string at the bottom up. So we've got 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So just get comfortable with that first. Use a metronome if you have one and set it nice and slow and just count. Don't bother about playing any chords or anything like that. Just mute the strings with your left hand and just do that. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and remember to keep this right arm moving from the elbow all the time. And then the trick is, when we actually start playing some chords, we're not going to be playing usually on every beat. We're not going to be playing. We're going to want to miss some beats out. So we're going to be going. Or. The important thing to notice is that even when I'm missing those beats out, I'm still playing them in my head. This arm continues to move on all of those 8 counts, even though I'm not playing them on every beat. So instead of doing 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, what I'm playing is maybe something like 1, 2 and 4 and 1, 2 and 4 and that's how I teach my students how to do these counts. The beats that you are going to play, count them out loud. 1, 2 and 4 and 1, 2 and 4 and. The beats in between that you're not going to be playing, count those silently in your head. So I am still counting 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, but the beats that I'm not playing, I'm counting silently in my head, and I'm only counting the 1, 2 and 4 and out loud. So that's the pattern that I was using in the introduction. And slow it right down if you need to. Remember to keep this arm moving the whole time. And then it's also a good idea to write these patterns down so that you've got a visual representation as well. So you would write these, a down arrow would be a downstroke, and an up arrow would be an upstroke, and you write down the rhythms that you want to play. So with this we would write a downstroke, then we would miss that next upstroke, and then we would write a downstroke and an upstroke. So that's 1, 2, and then we would also write and 4 and. So we would write 1, 2, and 4 and. That's what we would write out. 1, 2, and 4 and the other beats would be blank. And that way we've also got that visual representation, and that helps to reinforce in our mind that rhythm. So as well as playing it and feeling it, we can also look at the diagram that we've written out and see it, and that way you will pick things up much faster. And then you can just experiment with drawing different rhythms. So you might do 1, 2, 3 and 4 and 1, 2, 3 and 4 and 1, and so on. Or and 4 and 4 and you might miss out the actual downbeats there of 1 and 2, and 3, and 4 and 4 and. That would be. And in this way you can come up with your own unique strumming patterns. So it's a very good idea. Write your patterns down while you're learning them. Concentrate on the right hand only until you get the rhythm in your head, and only then start applying it to your chords. And of course we can do this with 16th notes as well. We just have to remember that if we're working in 16ths, we have 2 downbeats and 2 upbeats on every count. So now instead of counting 1 and for each beat, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, we're now going to count 1 E and A to every beat. So we've got 1 E and A, 2 E and A, 3 E and A, 4 E and A. And whereas and in an eighth is an upstroke, 1 and, in 16ths and becomes your second downstroke, because now we've got 1 E and A. So 1 E and A, 2 E and A, 3 E and A, 4 E and A, 1 E and A, 2 E and A, 3 E and A. So that's the only difference, and that's what you need to remember. But concentrate on the eighths to get you started. Just remember, mute the strings with your left hand, just work on the right hand. Write yourself a little diagram out, just get a blank piece of paper, write 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and at the top to represent your 8 beats. On the ands, remember it's an up arrow, an upstroke, and on the 1, 2, 3 and 4 it's a down arrow. And where you're not going to be playing anything, just leave that blank so that you're only following the arrows that you've written out. So that's what I have for you today, some basic strumming mechanics. Just remember to write these patterns out as well as just play them, and that way you will learn them much faster. You will reinforce them into your mind much quicker by writing them out as well as just playing them. So it's a very simple concept, but it's very powerful. It does work. And as I said, once you become more adept at doing this, you can start making up your own patterns and just draw them out first and then play the patterns that you've drawn out. It's very, very good practice for you. But it's just repetition, that's all it is. Just keep practicing, keep repeating it, and eventually you won't need to count the 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, or the 1-hander, 2-hander, etc. You won't need to do that anymore, because it will just become automatic. Kind of like when you first start learning how to drive a car. Everything's overwhelming at first, so many things to remember, but eventually once you've been driving for 6 months, a year, 5 years, it just gets easier and easier, and you sort of do it without even thinking. It's the same principle. So just keep practicing. That's all I've got for you today, guys. Have a great day, and I'll see you again next week for another video. Bye for today. If you do enjoy these kind of videos, I do release a new video every Friday, or at least I try to. I don't always manage it, but there you go. But thanks again. Remember to subscribe to the channel, and if you do subscribe, remember to click the little bell notification, and that way you will be notified when I do upload a new video. But thanks for watching the Stocksbridge Guitar Tech channel, and have a great day, and I'll see you next time.